You've all heard of comfort food, the kind of food you like to eat regardless of its nutritional value, but it just...
Frights! Camera! Action!
Come on, everybody! It's time to play!
I shall kill them all.
It's time we had a nation of our own.
There are certain movies that come out and the mass audiences just seem to not be on the same boat with it because they don't seem to get the joke. And we looked upon this movie with utter anticipation because we were totally in on what they were going for. The movie in question that we're talking about today is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. It was directed by Timur Bekmambetov and it was produced by Tim Burton and it's based on the book by Seth Grahame-Smith, who also did Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies, which was later adapted into a film, and that was really dull. That was pretty dull.
It was actually dull.
It was pretty dull. Whereas this one, on the other hand...
It was not dull.
Was definitely not dull. It's told so seriously, and it commits to its premise.
The book was serious too. It was not a comedy book. It was serious, and it was taken completely as if it really happened.
And the fun of the movie and the humor of the movie is the fact that they are so deadly serious to it, and it's just, you're just laughing at yourself that you can be swept up in this as if Abraham Lincoln really was hunting.
I got sat there going, man, I wish this was true. He'd be a badass, you know.
Well, more badass than he already was.
I just don't get why people think that it should have been funny. But there's this idea that it was supposed to be a comedy, and all the critics were like, oh, this took it too seriously. And I'm like, that's the point.
That's why it's funny.
I mean, even then, you're not laughing at it. You're actually just enjoying the spectacle of it. We've seen vampire horror movies. We've seen it. But what if Abe Lincoln was one?
Exactly.
That's awesome. Go for it.
Now, we actually did have the pleasure of reading the book.
Yeah.
I mean, I was able to read up to a certain point, but you read the whole thing. And
Yeah,
the
a friend recommended it.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the book, and something that remarkably translated well to the movie, the book actually just reads like you're reading Abraham Lincoln's Lost Journal.
Yeah, it's just an episodic tale of the stuff he did. It has no plot, really. It has no direction. It's just, these are the vampires he fought. This is the situations he had all the way up to the Civil War.
And whereas in the movie, they take that same narrative structure, they keep that journal well in mind because you do have Lincoln narrating as the movie goes on. They just give it a 3-act structure. They actually just give it a linear plot, which is not a bad thing.
No, and they do put a little bit more focus on like your training montage and all that. But like, this is a movie. You got to be visual about things. And when we talk about visual, this movie is visual.
Now,
but you don't get a director like...
Timur Bekmambetov, I think another thing that excited us about this movie is that it was him who was directing it because around the time we started dating, I showed you Night Watch, and then when I moved in with you, we watched Day Watch, and we just loved those movies.
Yeah, and they did Wanted, but he's done films with modern vampires and the supernatural. He has a great flair for action. So when I heard he was going to be doing this movie, I was like, okay, this is going to look good no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's crap, it's going to be great looking crap.
Man, does he...
It wasn't crap.
And I will say now, he knows how to make wielding an axe look really freaking cool.
Whack foo.
Axe foo.
Axe foo. I said whack foo.
I was about to say, that's what college guys do when they don't get any. Well, seeing him take on like a whole legion of vampires in a mansion, and you buy it.
I buy it, but you know what? I remember first time watching it and then watching again. I just remember the one thought that popped in my head during one of his big battles against the vampires when he's I think in his 20s, 30s.
Like one of his earlier kills?
Before he's Abe Lincoln that we all know. His coat is so cool.
It is.
Because he's got this like one of those flowing coats with the extra panels, so when you spin it looks like really huge, and it looks so cool.
If you're gonna do slow-mo in your action scenes,
put him in a cool
coat. Because then you got that really cool slow-mo whipping in the wind.
And then he's spinning swinging the axe, you get the blood trail. It
Yes.
looked good.
Now this was in 3D, and I think we did see it in 3D originally.
I swear we saw it.
I think
in
we
3D.
did.
You can see a little bit where the 3D would have been. 'Cause this was during that time where every movie was in 3D, even if it maybe shouldn't have been.
Probably not.
This one I think was probably post done, but you could see the spots where if this were in 3D, it'd look pretty cool.
I loved the final climactic train chase at the very end of it.
That was legit.
It was legit. And another thing we laughed about this movie is some of the cast who. This is another one of those examples of cast members who, back when this movie came out, weren't really much
Yeah,
of a
you
name
wouldn't think anything of it until now.
until now.
Now you're like, oh, hey, Anthony
Yeah.
Mackie. So many actors in it have, in some way, shape, or form, been in a comic book property. Not necessarily, mostly Marvel.
Benjamin Walker was later in season 3 of Jessica Jones. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead, some of her highlights of her career have been comic book movies between Scott Pilgrim and recently Birds of Prey, which she was awesome in. Fight Me.
Sure,
Oh,
they're
Dominic
monsters.
Cooper. That's
Dominic
the
Cooper.
other
Oh,
Marvel.
the other
The other
Marvel.
Marvel actor.
Howard Stark.
Yeah, Howard Stark. And Dominic Cooper is just. I could never say no to that man. He is
He
great.
always looks like he's having way too much fun for every role he is doing.
Even
He's
in Mamma
having too
fucking
much
Mia.
fun. Yeah, he's always having fun, and he plays Henry, the guy who trains Abe Lincoln in Always Vampire Hunting.
Yeah.
Of course, he's hiding his own secret, and you can pretty much tell what it is.
You can tell at
first minute you meet
The
him.
first second Abe wakes up in his house, and you see him just rummaging through the place looking for
Pay
something.
attention to what he's doing. And
Yeah.
like, oh, I know your
Oh, dude.
secret, but it's no big.
And then of course you got Jimmy Simpson from Westworld. Yeah.
And the always reliable Alan Tudyk.
Oh yes, Alan Tudyk poking his head in. This time not voicing a chicken.
And he's also just a bare character, but it's Alan Tudyk. You're like,
Alan
yeah,
Tudyk.
it's
He's just
Alan
always
Tudyk. You
welcome.
can always rely on him. The villain of the story, I'm shocked that he has not been in a comic book movie yet.
Why hasn't Rufus Sewell ever been in a Marvel
That man
movie or a
needs to
DC?
be probably cast as a villain because that's all he gets.
Yeah,
But
and
he's
it's like,
good at
come
it.
on, he's John freaking Murdoch, and he was amazing as a hero character in Dark City. But it's just
Yeah, but it's Dark City. I mean,
Dark City.
I mean, he was an original character. There is no villain in the book. It's just vampires. So they have like a central figure villain, vampire who pretty much implies that he is like one of the first ones ever. There's a moment where he breaks, and it actually was hilarious. I forgot it happened in the movie. Like he's offering wine to somebody, and they say no, and then he takes it and drinks it, and doesn't realize it's actually just wine, and spits it out. But like it's kind of funny because it's like a break moment. I swear that maybe was not it looked too natural. Like it looked like he spit, he like almost inhaled it or something.
We're not spitting it out.
No,
okay.
this is
no, this is good stuff. To its credit, and I believe this was something that did play in the book, the idea that the vampires were heavy in the Deep South, and were very heavily involved in the slave trade. The vampires here have a different reaction to sunlight, not sparkling. We're getting that joke out of the way. No, what they do is more interesting, is that when they're in the sunlight, their features become more emaciated, like they become more veiny.
You can tell that they're not human.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of exposes them for the monster they are. I don't know if it maybe weakens them. That is a classic Dracula. That the sun doesn't kill him, it just weakens him. So it could be that too. But sunscreen and sunglasses can at least, they can walk around and not obviously look like a vampire. So without that, they kind of look a little like, something wrong with you. But they do have other weaknesses that are popular in some vampire lore, which is like silver.
Silver's a big one.
And their reasoning is the same reasoning as Dracula 2000.
Oh, God.
When Judas betrayed Jesus, his reward was 30 pieces of silver. At that moment, those pieces became a symbol of betraying God, of evil. And silver became a curse.
They also say that a lot of vampires have their own set abilities. Like there are some who are just crazy fast. Some
they have some unique aspects. Like
Yeah.
some can go invisible, some are fast, some can do whatever. There's no like one way to kill a vampire.
Yeah, which does, I always like it when they are willing to change certain rules as far as how to kill them goes, because it does make things more difficult for the hero, which makes his challenge much more compelling. And I will say, and the thing I gotta say I dug about Abe was that there was nothing special about him. He doesn't have any special abilities. He was just gifted, and he was just taught ways to channel his inner rage in order to...
I mean, Abe Lincoln was a gifted person in general.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, granted, there are sometimes he does stuff that's a little on the inhuman side, but this world is inhuman to begin with, so you can let it slide a bit.
There's a wicked chase sequence where Abe is chasing the guy who killed his mother, played by Martin Sakis, and he's jumping from horse to horse. Honestly, it's what the wildebeest sequence in the quote unquote live action Lion King should have been. When you think about
it's
it.
a little over the top, but
Again, it's Abraham
what are you
Lincoln
watching?
Vampire
You know,
Hunter.
it's like, come on. There are scenes that are over the top, but it lends to the tone of the film. So, one thing I thought was amazing was definitely the transitions between scenes. Major transitions are always done with some kind of a creative way. One of my favorite ones is when Abe kills a vampire, the axe, its point of view, the axe cuts right through the middle of the screen and it splits apart into two buildings into an alleyway.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, that's really good. And they utilized the transitions to be creative and actually play into the scene itself. And it was really well done. It made it.
It had a good flowing narrative. It didn't dilly dally at all at any point.
No, it didn't slow down, and it actually took time when Lincoln meets Mary.
He does flat out tell her because he was Honest Abe. I loved in the beginning. She actually asks, why are you so tired all the time?
And he tells her.
Tells her the flat out truth that
Of course, she thinks he's full of shit.
Of course, yeah.
She's like, oh, I thought you're honest. And he's like,
This isn't the Abe Lincoln that Daniel Day-Lewis played, and this is not the Mary Todd that Sally Field played very compellingly. This is the Mary Todd who shot vampires with silver bullets.
One amazing thing I noticed was the makeup job they did on Benjamin Walker. Like, he plays Abe Lincoln from age 19-ish, 19 maybe?
Something like that,
Something
yeah,
around that
19.
time. 18, all the way to, he's about to go to the theater. They do some seriously good makeup on him throughout, because if you've ever seen photos of Lincoln before and after the Civil War, that war sucked the life out of that man. Like, he was drained. But the makeup job they did, the beard work and everything, I was like, was that still the same guy? Like, how did you get him to look from this to that? And it's really well done. He looks like Abe Lincoln by the end of the movie.
And they even address how the physical toll that this job took on him, and the fact that there was a lapse where he actually hung it up for a while, but then was forced to come back, and you see him trying to get back into it.
Which is accurate to the books. When he's forced to return to vampire hunting later in life, he's not the best at it. Like, he's been off the rails for a while. Still, you watch Abe Lincoln killing vampires, and he does it when he's young, but he does it when he's old too. So you get to see the Abe Lincoln we all know from history, the image, with an axe. And that axe is awesome. That the trailers gave away
it kind of did.
Because that would have been so cool, because it actually is a call out to the vampire that kills his mother. The gentleman had a cane, and then when someone takes the cane, there's actually a gun,
a Derringer pistol
a small
in there.
Pistol in the handle, kind of a Lucius Malfoy style thing. So Abe Lincoln takes that idea and puts that into his axe, which is awesome.
It is pretty cool.
That is a cool axe.
It is a great axe.
It's a great weapon. We all know history that Booth killed Lincoln when he went to the Ford Theater. Well, in the book, that does happen, but Lincoln is turned after he's declared dead and lives in a life of quiet solitude as a vampire.
Yeah.
I kind of didn't care for that ending. I mean, I get it, but the film, they just were like, we're not doing that. History continues on as it does in reality. And
Henry just goes on and recruits another guy to hunt
down
vampires.
Down the line. I think the movie actually made the better choice, and the way they do it is very respectful in my opinion.
I agreed.
It's kind of sad because he's like, you hear Mary go, "Hey, we're late for the theater."
Late for the theater.
And you're like, because you're also like, I'm so invested in him, and I know what's gonna happen.
This badass who was able to kill a vampire by
who destroyed
by ramming his fist into a vampire with a silver-laced glove.
He killed the ultimate vampire. Motherfucking Booth.
Died because he didn't check his 6.
Really? Did you fucking say that? You died because you didn't check your 6? Whole finale is on this train, and you have this cool fire and all that. It is over the top, crazy, nuts, ridiculous. This thing's going with no one driving it, and I'm not kidding. At the end, when they're on the locomotive, and it's like barely, they might make it to the end, like it's at the very end, cheesy, silly, goofy. And I'm sitting there actually leaning in going, you gonna make it? Even though I know I've seen the movie. And I'm just like, you wanna do it? I don't know. I'm like, the movie knew
Still
how
works.
to pull the interest and the fun. And I think that's the whole point of it. And it's like, seriously, people need to watch this more because it is genuinely a just fun. You like vampire movies? This is a great movie, vampire movies. They're not romanticized. They are
They're
monsters.
bastards.
But you can still have a nice one.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not like Buffy vampires where they're demons, so automatically they're just naturally evil. Unless they're cursed with some chip in their head.
I guess you could say they're more like like Blade vampires, even. Yeah. Minus the fact that Blade vampires can still die in the sun, but they're still like the same. Well, they kind of have the same modus operandi as Blade vampires. They want a vampire nation.
So, funny thing, I just found out. So, I was talking about how I just watched this movie and I really enjoyed it. And I was actually told by an individual that a person was very offended by this film because it insulted the history of a certain group. And I figured out what it was. Is, they make the Confederacy look like assholes. Because the Confederacy makes a deal with the vampires because they both have the same mutual interests. The vampires get hired by the Confederacy to tip the scales of the war. And they were offended by that.
Good!
I mean, it plays with history, so if you're like a purist of, this is not history.
The movie's called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
I would like this to be history. You know what? This happens in QT's world.
There you go.
I would be 100% behind it.
Happens entirely in Quentin Tarantino. Hey, there's vampires in Quentin Tarantino's world from Dusk Till Dawn.
Is that part of his universe?
I believe they've adopted it.
Did they adopt it?
I think they adopted it.
If they did, then yes. Because also the vampires from that, you could see as like an offshoot species of the ones from this.
Exactly.
And you want some vampire movie where the vampires are nasty, they're mean, they're vicious, but you also can have ones that have a conscience because your conscience is your own. Mm-hmm. This movie has it.
And if you want an Abraham Lincoln movie where he doesn't go off on tangents every single 5 minutes ad nauseum to the point where you have a character going,
Story that I'm very partial to.
No, you're going to tell a story. I don't believe that I can bear to listen to another one of your stories right now.
So if everyone's rejecting this movie just because it's disrespectful to history, then I think you...
Why are you watching movies?
Why are you watching movies in general?
This movie's awesome.
Yeah, most movies...
Here's the thing. Everyone brings their A game. The director brings his A game. All the actors do. They all kill it. They're wonderful. And they become the characters. Mm. Everyone does a great job. So it's wonderful to watch just for that reason.
Many times on Casserole, I've said many times how much I can't stand biopics because they try to fob off their artistic licenses, changing points of history just for their own dramatic license. This is one that pretty much tells you with the title alone that this is bullshit. So you might as well buy the ticket, take the ride, and have an absolute blast doing it.
Biopic.
Exactly.
But
it should be, but it's not.
I wish it was.
But
there are some parts that, like, if you really want to know the history, sure, go look it up. But it's just so much fun.
It is. So just...
What? Just for X-Fu! And I'm sorry, the sequence in the plantation is amazing.
Yes. So just throw up your hang-ups, buy it on streaming, buy it on DVD. Physical media is going to live forever. You just see.
Yeah, when your internet goes out, you're going to need it.
You're going to need it. And just enjoy it. It's Halloween. You've probably watched worse come the Halloween season.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, really? Come on.
Like 50% of what Blumhouse puts out now?
Ooh, shots fired. I love you. So in the meantime, do you agree? Do you disagree? We don't care if you disagree. This movie's amazing. Leave it all in the comments below. We'll still discuss anyway. And for more Halloween content and Narcotic Casserole, simply like, share, subscribe, click. Thou shalt be served.
Now, hey.
I'll top you off.
Thank you. I can't say anything now because you just left. Check your 6. What the fuck?